What's going on, guys? Krusty K's here from the Go Boys Network, coming to you with the MLB slate preview for August 17th. Before we hop into this one, I want to remind everybody you can get all these odds at FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about this slate. Seattle Mariners taking on Pittsburgh Pirates. Luis Castillo versus Bailey Falter. Really simple for me here. It's going to be the Mariners. Bailey Falter, he's not good. Obviously, he's going to face a Seattle team who we all know is incredibly inconsistent. And I don't necessarily think that Falter gets lit up. I just think in terms of these two pitchers, I like Castillo to handle business a lot more than I like Falter. So Seattle minus 165 on the money line. Obviously, it's a bit juiced. You can parlay it with something else, but I think they get this one done. I think Castillo pitches really well in the spot against the Pirates team who's really struggled against righties. Last 30 days, WRC plus was just 80. So really not hitting. Great spot for Castillo to pitch well. And like I said, even if Falter pitches well, I think they can get enough runs off of this Pirates team to get us the win here. Our next one, New York Yankees take on the Detroit Tigers. It's Carlos Rodon versus Kyler Montero. For me here, it's going to be the over. So, Kyler Montero, I think he gets touched up by this Yankees team. This Yankees team starting to swing it a bit. We all know what this lineup can do. I think they do some damage here. In terms of Carlos Rodon, I think the thing is, I like Rodon, but in this spot, you get a Detroit team that, on the season, sneakily has been hitting lefties decently well, and I think they can get at least a few runs off of him here to carry us across this total. This game kind of screams like a 6-3, 7-3 kind of final score. Obviously, both those would be over this, but that's where I see this thing. I think Rodon pitches relatively well, but I still think he probably gives up 3 runs here at least. Definitely enough to help get us over this total. Our next one, the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Cubs. Chris Bassett versus Justin Steele. Justin Steele, man, I like this guy a lot. He's been pitching really well this season. Definitely the ace of this staff. I know people like Shota too, but for me, Steele's just the guy. So in this one, I do like the Cubs. It's really tough to get to a minus 175 with this Cubs team. So it is where I'm going to go. But again, obviously I wouldn't lay that. I'd parlay it with somebody else. Maybe parlay it with the Mariners. But for me, it really comes down to the fact that Chris Bassett's been absolutely terrible. And this Cubs team, especially at home, hitting righties decently. They're not striking out as much. And I'm unsure what the weather's going to be like in terms of the wind right now. Total's at 8.5, so I don't know if that's like a low total because Justin Steele's pitching or a low total because the wind's blowing in. But something to monitor for sure. I just think Bassett's in for a rough outing here. I think Steele can kind of manage this Jays lineup relatively easy. This is a team that we all know, super inconsistent this season. Been super inconsistent on the road. So it's a great spot for Steele to pitch well and pick up a win. Our next one, the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Zach Gallen versus Jeffrey Springs. This one, I'm actually going to be on the over. Total at 7.5. It's a low total. I'm sure everybody sees these two pitchers, expect a duel, and I do not. So Zach Gallen left his last start with another injury. He's not missing any time. He's picking up, he's going to start here. Been considerably worse on the road. This Tampa Bay team is a team that, I complain about all the time because their bats are very inconsistent and they just don't have a lot after the trade deadline. But this feels like a spot where, if you've been paying attention, Gallen's fastball has been getting absolutely destroyed. Pretty much every start. He's not missing bats with it. Guys are barreling it. It's getting hit very hard. And even against the Tampa Bay team who's not very good, I believe they can get some runs off of him here. On the flip side, I like Jeffrey Springs a lot. But in my opinion, he's still not at the form where we saw him in 2022. So facing a Diamondbacks team who's crushing lefties, top 5 in hitting against left-handed pitching over the last 30 days, I think they get to Jeffrey Springs here too. So 7.5, it's a low total, but I think this thing goes over. I think we likely see probably about 10 runs here, truthfully. Our next one, the Miami Marlins take on the New York Mets. Max Meyer versus Luis Severino. As we all know, I like both these guys a lot. I like Severino. I like to back him. And Max Meyer is a young guy who I'm pretty high on. For me in this one, though, I was going to go with the under. That was what I have written down. I'm going to change it to the first 5 under. And solely because I don't like this Miami bullpen. And truthfully, I'm not a big fan of the Mets bullpen either. So I'm going to trust both these guys to pitch well in the first 5. This Mets team, man, even at home, they've just been so inconsistent at the plate. Against righties, on paper, they're about league average the last 30 days. I'm going to tell you right now, I watched a lot of the game that's going on today, and That team is one of the most frustrating teams to watch in all baseball. They face Rodri Munez, who is statistically the worst starter in the league, and he allowed 1 run over 4 or 5 innings. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. So for me, it's the first 5 under. I like both these starters to pitch well. I think this thing likely stays, 1-0-0-0 type deal after 5. Our next one here, the Washington Nationals take on the Phillies. Mackenzie Gore versus Christopher Sanchez. It's going to be the Phillies team total over for me here. So Mackenzie Gore is a guy who obviously they're super familiar with, and they all hit him really well, the entire Phillies lineup. On top of that, they're crushing lefties. Bats are starting to wake up. We've seen 30-some runs in the last 3 or 4 games. So I like their bats to stay hot here. I think Gore's in for an extremely rough outing. If you wanted to play the Phillies on the money line as a parlay piece, I think that's a great look too. But at -205, I think the value's on the team total over here, so that's where I'll go. Our next one, Kansas City Royals taking on Cincinnati Reds. Michael Wacha versus Nick Lodolo. I'm going to be on the Royals here on the money line. I like Michael Wacha. I think his stuff plays really well against his Reds team. I think that sinker changeup mix is going to have these guys twisted into pretzels, truthfully. And I like Wacha just to pitch really well in the spot. Lodolo, I mean, this is a guy who I love to back. We all know that. But if you've noticed this season, I don't know if he's trying to be more efficient or what it is, but a lot of times he'll get guys 2 strikes. He'll throw some sort of wipeout pitch. If it doesn't go, if they don't swing at it, then he just kind of funnels sinkers over the middle. The problem with that approach is against a Royals team like this, they're going to do damage. And even beyond Lodolo, I think Lodolo does go up a few runs here, but even beyond him, if they're trailing, you're not going to see any of the good late inning guys for the Reds, which further just drives home how much I love Kansas City here. Because the only good guys in the Reds bullpen are the actual back end guys, and they're not going to pitch if they're trailing. So give me the Royals here on the money line.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Our next one, the Boston Red Sox taking on the Orioles. Brian Bale versus Cade Povich. As much as I want to back Boston, because I see Cade Povich and I want to fade, forever fade. Guy's terrible. I'm going to go with the Boston team total over. I do like the Red Sox on my line if you would prefer that. But this really comes down to Cade Povich. He's been absolutely abysmal in the majors this season. I know the Red Sox, majority of the season we were talking about they couldn't hit lefties. They've gotten a bit better now. They're above league average. WRC plus around 105 over the last 30 days. Strikeouts still a little high, still above league average, but definitely better than they were. So for me in this one, I think Povich is just in for a rough outing. I mean, this is a Boston team who's trying to make some noise here, trying to let people know that they're relevant. And I think Povich gets tagged here. Our next one, the Minnesota Twins taking on Texas Rangers. David Festa versus Nathan Eovaldi. It's going to be the Twins on the money line here for me. Really simple. David Festa's been really good. I like his stuff in this matchup. Like him against this Texas team who I complain about all the time. Still to this point in the season, not hitting right-handed pitching consistently at all. WRC plus below league average. Pitch per plate appearance below league average. A really good spot for Festa to just kind of pitch deep into this game and work relatively quick against a team who's going to put the ball in play. For me, this price is -130. I think it's priced solely based on name. People see, Nathan Eovaldi versus David Festa, and everybody knows who Eovaldi is, and not many people know who Festa is. But I think Eovaldi struggles in this matchup, honestly. He's definitely looked a little more, I don't know how to say it. He's looked a little old, for lack of a better term. Definitely hasn't looked as sharp as he has in years past. Obviously, he is getting up there in age. And for me, I think the Twins, their offense against Rays over the last 30 days, WRC plus 115, I think they do damage here. I think their bullpen's good enough behind Festa to shut down this Texas team. Give me the Twins on the money line here at plus money. Our next one, the San Francisco Giants taking on the Oakland Athletics. Hayden Birdsong versus Osvaldo Bido. It's going to be the over for me here. That's what I like. Birdsong is a guy I love. Love his stuff. Still a little raw though. Command's a bit of an issue. And then a lot of times he'll get miss a little too fat over the plate and get absolutely tattooed. This feels like one of those spots. You get an Oakland team at home who's been considerably better at home this season. So I'd like them to put up runs, but on the flip side, I think the Giants get DeVito too. Totals at 8.5. It just feels way too low for me. I thought this would be a 9.5, truthfully, maybe even a flat 10. I think we see like upwards of 10 runs here, relative ease. Our next one, the Chicago White Sox taking on the Houston Astros. Chris Flexen versus Hunter Brown. The Houston Astros for this game opened at a minus 360. This could be one of the most ridiculous prices I've seen all season. I really didn't know where to go in this game, truthfully. So the best look I could find in this game was just to take the White Sox team total under and just trust Hunter Brown to deal. So Hunter Brown, obviously we all know, has been really, really good this season. Absolutely outstanding. One of the best starters in probably all of baseball. He's going to face a White Sox team who ranks dead last in every offensive category versus right-handed pitching. WRC plus is like 40. I mean, they're terrible. So White Sox team total under, trust Hunter Brown to just go out there and deal. I think that's the best way to approach this game. You're not going to catch me putting a minus 360 even in a parlay in baseball. That's insane. So White Sox team total under. I think Hunter Brown strikeouts are in play, like his pitching outs as well. However you want to take it, I think Hunter Brown deals, and I think this White Sox team gets shut down. Hey guys, I just want to give a quick reminder that new users can bet $5 at FanDuel on any of the bets in this video and win $150 in bonus bets if the bet wins. Now let's get back to the bets. Our next one, the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. This is Tanner Bybee versus Freddie Peralta. For me in here, it's going to be the Guardians. So I like both these pitchers. I like Tanner Bybee a little bit more. Freddie Peralta this season has been a little inconsistent, and I think he can get tagged in this matchup against a Cleveland team that's loaded with lefties, a lot of high contact guys, which in my opinion with Freddie, the reliance on the fastball, it's where he gets into trouble. So I like the Guardians here. I think Bybee does pitch well against this Milwaukee team. Obviously, they're a good team. But this feels like a spot where Bybee can kind of, they have been striking out quite a bit. So I think Bybee can take advantage of that basically and keep his team in this game while Freddie likely gives up a few runs in my opinion. Our next one, the Dodgers taking on the Cardinals. So the Dodgers just put Glasnow on the IL, so it will not be him. Cardinals putting out Andre Palante. For me here, really tough game to go at with not knowing who the Dodgers starter is. So we're going to pass for now. I'll drop something in the comments for this game when the video is posted. Our next one, San Diego Padres taking on the Colorado Rockies. Dylan Cease versus Kyle Freeland. Give me the under. Total 10.5. I think Cease absolutely shuts down this Rockies team. And on the other side, I mean, even if Freeland gives up some runs, I don't see this thing getting over 10.5. I could see it being like a 6-0, 7-0, something like that. But I think this thing stays under. I actually think Freeland, oddly enough, pitches decently well. For whatever reason at Coors, he's been surprisingly good. So give me the under 10.5 in this game. It's going to be gross, but we got to do it. Our next one, the last one on the slate, the Atlanta Braves taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Chris Sale versus Griffin Canning. I mean, obviously, I love Sale here. I love him to deal. I think he has his way with this Angels lineup. Minus 215 on the money line, though. Obviously, I'm not going to play that. So we'll go with the Braves minus 1.5. I hate run lines, but I feel like it's the best way to attack this one. I think he just overmatches this Angels lineup. And Griffin Canning, I mean, he's got can in his name for a reason, right? Because he's a garbage can. So this Braves team, this Braves offense, I think they get going here against him. I like their bats in this one a lot. I think Michael Harris being back is huge for this team. He's one of those guys who kind of brings the energy, and I think we're going to see that here. I think their offense explodes in this one. That does conclude our slate, though. If you guys do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are running with. Before I hop off, I'm going to give you guys 5 plays, my 5 best bets as we head into the weekend, this beautiful Saturday slate. So number 1, we are going to roll with over in the Diamondbacks and the Rays game. Number 2, we're going to go with the Phillies team total over. Number 3, we're going to go with the Royals on the money line. Number 4, we're going to go with the Twins on the money line. And number 5, we're going to go with the White Sox team total under. As always, you can get all of my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, tell 100 Gambler. Thank you guys.